Throughout a variety of different Sonic games, Sonic will meet all sorts of different friends as well as enemies. Sometimes those friends or enemies he makes are only there for 1 or maybe 2 games, however, there are other times where they're there as the main supporting cast. Now obviously, characters that play the role of being part of the main cast have much more development time than those who only appear in 1 game. These characters will have the most time to develop and grow, and you'll see them most of the time throughout the entirety of the Sonic franchise. Characters like Tails, Amy, Knuckles, Eggman are characters you'll probably see in every single Sonic game. With that being said, it's really easy to define their roles in the entire series. Tails plays the role of Sonic's sidekick, who is also his smart best friend. At one point in time, Knuckles and Sonic were bitter rivals, but eventually over time, the two of them became friends and maybe starting some sort of friendly rivalry. However, most of the time, the two of them are depicted as friends or teammates. Then of course, there's Amy, who serves as the potential love interest for Sonic and is also very useful in her own right. And then lastly, there is Dr. Eggman, who's basically just the main antagonist of the entire story. In other words, this is Sonic's mortal enemy. However, there is one other character who I would say is kind of in that group that is really important to the Sonic the Hedgehog series. He is the second most popular Sonic the Hedgehog character, and I don't think that this series would be the same without him. And that character is Shadow the Hedgehog. What's going on, guys? It's SONICSTA, and in today's video I'm going to discuss Shadow's role in the Sonic the Hedgehog series as well as his relationship with Sonic the Hedgehog. As always, if you do end up liking this video, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me and my channel out a ton. And as always, if for whatever reason you wish to get in contact with me, I'll have links in the description down below for my Instagram, Discord, and Twitter. But anyway, with all that out of the way, let's talk a bit about Sonic and Shadow. Okay, so unlike most characters, I feel like Shadow has gone through the most drastic changes of any Sonic character. He may be one of the most iconic Sonic characters, but also he's one of the most confusing Sonic characters. Aside from abilities and speed, he really hasn't been the same character since his first debut. Now don't worry, this won't be a Shadow the Hedgehog bashing video, but I do believe it's important to call some of these things out, that way we can identify his role in the series. Okay, so first and foremost, before we get to the relationship of Sonic and Shadow, let's talk about Shadow's role in the series. Shadow first debuted in Sonic Adventure 2, and he was out for revenge against humanity for the events on the Space Colony arc. Shadow was a character who became corrupt due to his circumstances. If Maria was not murdered or the Space Colony arc was not infiltrated, Shadow probably would have not turned to this vengeful side, simply because he would have exactly no motives to do so. I believe in Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow's initial role that he played was the antithesis of Sonic the Hedgehog. Shadow was supposed to be Sonic if he had one bad day. In a way, Shadow the Hedgehog was initially supposed to be the inverse portrayal of Sonic the Hedgehog. In a way, I feel like this would invoke some sort of deeper symbolism behind everyone mistaking Shadow for actually being Sonic. I mean, despite being hedgehogs, the two of them look nothing alike. Continuing off of looks here for a moment, blue and white were the colors of goodness and purity in the game Sonic Adventure 2. Black and red, however, were supposed to suggest dark or evil. So from a visual standpoint, the two of them also are completely inverse from each other. Shadow initially began as Sonic's dark counterpart. Now, of course, by the end of the game, Shadow is reminded by Amy Rose that vengeance is not something Maria would have wanted. So going forward, Shadow decides to change his ways, and this is where things begin to get a little complicated. Every moment after the events of SA2, it feels like we see a different Shadow for every new Sonic game. However, this is due to Shadow having some sort of amnesia and not really remembering most of his past. In games like Sonic Heroes, it seems as if he doesn't even remember the events of SA2. In this game, I'd still classify Shadow as a rival to Sonic, but not to the same degree as he was in Sonic Adventure 2. In this particular game, it doesn't really seem like he has any sort of motive to do anything good nor evil. Right from the beginning of the game, all Shadow really wanted to do was just find out who he was and where he was. I mean, for a while, Shadow just kind of thought he was some sort of clone or a carbon copy of his original form. He would later find out that this wasn't the case in the game Shadow the Hedgehog, but even still, this character is still very confusing. Once he gets everything sorted out, Shadow once again changes as a character. From 2006 onwards, I wouldn't necessarily call Shadow a Sonic villain, but I'm not totally 100% sure if I would necessarily call him a good guy either. In games like Sonic 06, Shadow would kind of do things to his own benefit. On the surface, it seems as though Shadow is a good guy because everything he does in this game is in alignment with helping Sonic. He even interferes in a fight between Sonic and Silver, allowing Sonic to get away and try to save Elise. And with him working with GUN, you kind of have no choice but to operate as some type of good guy. So there's plenty of things listed there that would classify Shadow as a good guy, but it's not until the very end when I begin to think differently. At the end of Shadow's story in Sonic 06, Shadow says a particular quote that I believe defines his character and should continue to define his character going forward.
If the world chooses to become my enemy, I will fight like I always have.
It's this quote right here that separates Shadow the Hedgehog from being a good guy and a villain. It was at this moment where I found Shadow the Hedgehog to be a character who did what he saw was right. Whether people agreed with him or not, that was the method he was going to take, and that's the kind of character Shadow was thought to be. This made him fall underneath the category of some type of anti-hero. Most of the time he would end up siding with Sonic, but either way, he still made his own decisions based off of what he wanted to do. Things would later start to change when we hit the 2010s, and that's when things got a little bit more complicated. To me, it seemed as if Sega didn't really know what they wanted to do with Shadow the Hedgehog going forward. If you ask me, I feel like Shadow's character development kind of completed in the game Sonic 06. I only say that because by this point, Shadow has figured out exactly who he is and what he wants to do. So if we go off the assumption that Shadow's character development had been complete, I'm assuming that Sega probably had a hard time putting him in games that actually felt relevant to his character. Because Sega reached the pinnacle of Shadow's character, I feel as though they perhaps regressed him, that way he'd fit better in plots. So I guess perhaps instead of the game fitting Shadow, they tried to make Shadow fit the game. So as a quick little recap, Shadow began as Sonic's rival. Then he became somewhere in between, but still often worked with Sonic, assuming the two of them still had similar goals in mind. And lastly, I believe Shadow regressed and became more of a heroic rival to Sonic the Hedgehog. In this sense, I would call Shadow somewhat of a hero, but still not necessarily really working with Sonic all that much, considering the two of them are rivals. I think the IDW comics are a perfect example of this kind of portrayal. So with that information, I think we can now answer the question, what is Shadow's role? Well, like I said earlier, Shadow, unlike many other characters, does not have an easily identifiable role. Sometimes he might be fighting against Sonic and his friends, or other times, which happens to be the majority, he is fighting alongside with them. So having known all that information, now we can finally discuss what the relationship between Sonic and Shadow actually is. What began in Sonic Adventure 2 was a bitter rivalry between these two. With the two of them both being hedgehogs and predominantly about speed, there was definitely going to have to be some sort of rivalry brewing. But by the end of the game, things definitely began to change as the two of them seemed to have some sort of respect for each other. By the end of the game, the two of them put their differences aside and focused on one common goal, saving the Earth. During their fight with Final Hazard, Sonic and Shadow continue to remind each other that they've got each other's backs by words of encouragement. And by the end of the game, where Shadow seemingly dies, Sonic commends him for his bravery and heroism. Needless to say, the two of them definitely have some sort of level of respect for one another. But then again, like I said earlier, Shadow lost his memory after the events of Sonic Adventure 2, so him and Sonic were at odds once again. Now of course, even though Shadow is a rival with Sonic during the events of Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog, he still has a level of respect for him. However, after the events of those games, Shadow does remember who he is, and I think at that moment the rivalry with him and Sonic kind of slowly dies out. Us fans continue to relentlessly put these two against each other and see who would win in a fight, but either way, that just doesn't happen that much in the games anymore. Games like Sonic 06 definitely portray Sonic and Shadow to be friends that have a certain level of respect for one another. However, of recently, I feel like Sonic and Shadow have kind of regressed in their relationship, and they're more so kind of friendly rivals. I wouldn't exactly say Sonic and Shadow have the same level of respect for each other as they once did. With Shadow acting as more of a rival to Sonic and his friends, it's kind of a lot easier to put him in the plot, and therefore that's why it happens. The relationship between Sonic and Shadow is a very complicated one, but yet I still do believe that there is a level of friendship there. I mean, with the two of them having respected each other for so long, I feel like there definitely has to be some level of friendship. Saving each other when the crisis calls upon it and having some level of dependence on one another definitely alludes to them having at least some type of respect. Shadow's role will always be the antithesis of Sonic the Hedgehog. To me, I will always believe that Shadow the Hedgehog is Sonic if Sonic just had one bad day. But even through it all, Sonic and Shadow definitely still do maintain a level of respect and friendship. What's going on, guys? Thank you all so much for sticking around to the end of this video. But now I want to hear from you guys. What do you think is the relationship between Sonic and Shadow the Hedgehog? Are these two characters friends, or are they still bitter rivals? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, I would love to read your responses. And also, if you like this relationship dissection video, you should definitely go ahead and check out my Son Amy video. In that video, I discussed the relationship between Sonic and Amy, and if Son Amy is actually even canon. And if you've already seen that, let me know in the comment section down below what kind of relationship video would you like to see from me in the future. I do definitely take video requests, and I will credit you at the beginning of the video if I ever use your request. So if you've got a cool idea, let me know in the comment section down below. One more thing before I go here is I want to take the time to shout out some of my amazing channel members. Thank you all so much for supporting my content and just overall being there for me. You guys are honestly and truly the best motivators. If you want to support my channel by becoming a channel member, there'll be more information in the description down below. But anyway, with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching my video. If you liked it, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me and my channel out a ton. And per usual, have a blessed day, y'all. This is SONICSTA signing out.
Why are you playing that trash?